Morning, Jackie. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Excellent. Right. Well, we know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll crack right on. And first up, I guess there's been some question of conflict of interest and governance within LACA. What's been your reaction to that?
Government's procedure, and part of the board and the national steering group work within the LACA constitution, which is very clear. And part of that means that any conflict of interest must be declared before any board meeting. And in addition, I think it's really important to state that any decisions and actions are made by the National Steering Group, NSG, and the board. And no one individual makes any decision on behalf of LACA. And to add to that further, I think, we believe that our governance is strong, our processes are robust. However, as any good business would, we are going to review them in the light of current developments.
Okay, fair enough. Let's turn to the food parcels themselves. What's LACA's position on the substandard food parcels that have been given to free school meals children?
We don't condemn them at all. In fact, they were bad, and we recognise that, and unacceptable. We feel that the guidance provided on our website clearly shows the minimum standard that was expected and drawn up by Public Health England and the Department for Education, which we consulted with them. And I know people out there will be saying, well, some of the media was incorrect in that it was £30 and it was supposed to be for family, and clearly it wasn't. It's 5 days. The fact remains the pictures didn't show our industry in the best light, that the parcels weren't good enough, and we know there's some excellent examples of parcels, and quite frankly the majority of colleagues, members and non-members, are working really hard to ensure that they produce really good ones. So yes, we don't condone it, and I would implore everybody, it's incumbent upon us all to make sure that we produce the best that we can.
Okay, thank you. Now, there's been an announcement of an extra £3.50 available for the food parcels. What can we expect to see in the updated guidance that goes with this?
So myself and Neil Porter have had a conversation with both Public Health England and the DFE. They were on the same call this week. We have made some suggestions as to what we think could be included as additions to boost that up. And obviously we welcome the fact of the £3.50 because it wasn't a level playing field. A £15 voucher is different to the money that was available to us as providers. They've now gone away to make their decisions, and that we expect that they will be coming back by the end of the week with a final decision on what that is to include. And from there, we're hoping that the guidance then will be formatted and available on our website early next week.
Okay, that's good. Can you tell us a little bit about the conversations LACA's had with the Department for Education in relation to both the media controversy and also the guidance?
Yeah, so firstly, we were contacted by the DFE, and we agreed to publish their recommendations for guidance. We worked with them on that because it was important that it was a realistic parcel suggestion for our members. We then suggested a second week because obviously over the Christmas period we felt that 2 weeks of the same will be quite repetitious for pupils. So we made some recommendations which we put up on our website to cover the parcels over the Christmas period. And as I mentioned earlier, obviously we're waiting for the latest guidance. We did discuss the fact of the negative media, and they were very sympathetic to us because they felt that the food parcel stood up, that it is a minimum standard. And we also highlighted the issue with the vouchers of 15, that it's not entirely a level playing field for providers. But what I'd really stress to them, and I think this is important to say, is that the majority of parcels meet and in most cases probably exceed the standards. And also colleagues in LACA, we have we have raised that, and certainly been supported by local MPs as well. So I think, you know, there is a groundswell now of a recognition, and certainly from the DFE, that there is some really excellent work going on out there. And I think that was important to make them aware of that.
Sure, okay. So do you believe the food parcel guidance is good enough then?
It does, because it conforms to the government's school food standards, which means they're nutritionally balanced. You know, the thing we have asked them to stress is that when the next set of guidance goes up, that it is made very clear that it's for one child for 5 lunches. And bearing that in mind, then yes, it does. It covers all the necessary nutritional requirements, and Public Health England have linked it, in fact asked us to put up a copy of the Eat Well plate as well, so that providers can see exactly how it meets those standards, and it covers all the basics in nutrition. But it is incumbent upon each operator to decide what goes into their parcels, and there's some great examples out there. Even in the first week, as we all know, we've had challenges because it was extremely short notice. We're used to dealing in catering packs, and obviously we've had to look at domestic sizes. And you know, I think people have done extremely well in the short notice. And my own view is that now we've got over that first hump of the short notice, that there are some fabulous parcels out there.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about the thinking that went into writing the guidance and the ways in which you've linked this to the school food standards?
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, we were approached by the DFE and Public Health England to review their suggestions. So they laid out what they felt should be in that parcel. And myself and Neil and a group of colleagues from industry representing suppliers and other noted colleagues, we're looking at it from a practical point of view, because obviously from Public Health England, they've put a whole range of products in, and we had to look at it from the perspective of what can we provide as suppliers, providers, sorry. And secondly, we were looking at it from a parent and child point of view. So, you know, not to make assumptions about what resources people had, cooking equipment, that sort of thing, so that the parcel needed to be able to be used, and every part of it used very easily. And that was the bit that we tweaked around. But the nutritional part was very much provided through Public Health England. So yeah, I think we had some great conversations with them about it. They took it away, took our comments on board, and looked at things like storage, shelf life, all those sorts of things that they probably hadn't considered. So I think as a tweaked final version, it enabled it to meet the standards, but obviously be doable from a provider's point of view.
Terrific. Perhaps now you could tell us, Jackie, a little bit about what LACA has done to support the industry during the pandemic, and perhaps just as importantly, what LACA members can do to support and promote the industry.
Yes, so I think we've been extremely proactive. We started right at the beginning in March. We had our website where we had a specific COVID page for members to check into, and it carried all the latest updates and advice, and also the links to the relevant government pages. We of course couldn't have our usual events and seminars, which is where we all benefit from being able to meet each other and network and have those speakers available to us and Q&A panels. So that's why we put on the webinars such as today. We had some sessions that included guidance on all aspects of kitchen planning and management for staff and safe working when COVID first hit. Q&A sessions with industry specialists, and again we've put guidance and links on our website. So, and we have our question section, so any member wanting to ask a question can submit that on the form through to LACA, and as you know, the wider NSG and board were there to help and support. Behind the scenes, as Lee alluded to earlier, we've lobbied for clear advice to schools regarding things like payments of invoices for catering providers, and of course for the increase in the allowance for the food parcels. With regard to members, I'm actually directly appealing to all of you now to send or post on social media your excellent food parcels, because we all know that they're out there. And I think the more that we can do that, so by all means send them through to LACA, and we'll get them up on our website and have a look at those, because yeah, there are some really good ones and we want to promote that.
Okay, now child food poverty campaigners are campaigning for a review of free school meals and the school meal service in general. What's LACA's position on the that call for a review?
Yes, we welcomed it, and particularly, you know, obviously Marcus Rashford has sort of put the spotlight on that. And as Lee mentioned, we did sign the letter to the PM asking for the review. We've long campaigned for a review, in particular with regards to the true cost of delivering the service. So whilst the increase to £2.34 for universal infant free school meals was welcomed, in economic terms, really, if you're looking at inflation, it should be £2.51. So we'd also push for universal free school meals, certainly for all primary schools as a minimum, really, because that way we can ensure that every child receives a hot, healthy school lunch when they do return to school. And also linked to that is the funding of it and the whole mechanism. So we'd absolutely welcome that, and I'm quite sure our members will, and we will support with ensuring that we get that feedback from them so that we can present the case on members' behalf.
Okay, and finally, Jackie, what will you do if more examples of substandard food parcels emerge?
So I think, as we said earlier, any food parcels that are below standard, we absolutely condemn. It isn't good enough. And, if they're not up to standard, then I would say the message to members is that, it's incumbent on all of us to ensure that every parcel meets the standard. So again, the call is where you've produced those food parcels, please send in your pictures so that we can promote those. But absolutely, I implore upon all of you, I know it has been difficult, but the only way that we can present this industry in a positive light is to ensure that there aren't any more pictures of that nature, and that all the pupils get a balanced, full food parcel that they all need, because clearly they do, because they're on free school meals. And I would say that as a final point, really, we want to share that great work, and let's not forget there's a huge army of frontline staff out there that are working their socks off at the minute, and in very difficult circumstances. They're probably working in various shifts so that, that they've got any positive cases. They're providing hot meals to key workers, and they're having to pack these parcels, which is obviously not the norm for them, but I have to say they've all risen wonderfully to that challenge, and I think we just need to recognise that, and let's hope that we can get those good pictures up there, and so that they represent the good industry that we are and the best practice that we have out there, because we all know that is the case.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie. That was great.